We continue with the series on factors to consider before borrowing money. Welcome to A Word from the Coach. If this is your first time here, please take a moment and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Like this video, share it with someone else. Drop us a comment if you have any other question that you would want me to address. Feel free to drop it in the comment section or to inbox it in my various inboxes, and I'll be glad to make another Word from the Coach video in response to the same. I do so that I don't just help you who has asked the question, but I also help many others who might be having similar concerns. Today we focus on a very important factor that needs to be considered when you are thinking about borrowing money, when you're thinking about going for that loan, when you're thinking about accessing credit, and that is security. Security. Now, different credit options come in different fashions and with different terms and conditions, and we can be able to have debt that is secured and debt that is not secured. Debt that is secured is where the lender insists that you provide collateral, that you provide something else that becomes a fallback plan, something else that cushions them in the event that you default to repay your debt. Then they can be able to have a recourse, they can be able to have a fallback plan. And therefore, some lenders might insist for certain types of credit to have debt that is secured or loans that are secured. Other loans may not be secured. The lender has got other forms of comfort. Maybe the lender takes comfort in the fact that you are employed, and therefore the letter from your employer gives them comfort. Maybe the amount they are lending is an amount they feel comfortable to take that kind of risk, and therefore they can be able to lend without insisting on formal security. So the aspect of security must be considered. When you're thinking about taking a loan, when you're thinking about approaching a lender to borrow money, you think about security. The starting point is you must ask yourself, is the loan I am going for secured or not secured? That's where this conversation begins. So that if it is secured, you want to ask yourself whether you have the kind of securities that the lender is asking for. By the way, when it comes to secured facilities, it is the lender who dictates the kind of securities they can allow to be able to secure the money they will give you. And these securities may come in different fashions. I've done a video here on secured loans. And some lenders may insist on legal charges on property. That is where you get to use your land title deed or certificate of lease to secure loans. May come in the form of chattel's mortgage, may come in the form of guarantors, and so on. So you must first of all ask yourself, is it secured or not? Which one did you want? Did you want one that is unsecured or one that is secured? Then you now move to the second level of, if it is secured, what type of security do they want? If the lender is insisting on securing your loan using land or using property, then you ask yourself, do I have property or not? If I don't have, then this is not the right lender for me. If I have property, then I may be willing to borrow from this particular lender. Then you move to the next level where you ask yourself, am I comfortable using this type of property to secure this type of loan? Am I comfortable? The lender is asking for land. Yes, I have land, but am I comfortable using my land to secure this loan? Because it's also a risk you're taking. The lender is taking the risk and they're asking for the security as a mitigating factor for their risk, as a solution, as a risk management tool for them. But even you, as you also borrow and want to use this property, you're also taking a risk in the sense that If you are not able to repay the loan and that property is to be auctioned to cover for the loan, then you must ask yourself whether that is a risk you want to take, depending on the type of property we are talking about. For example, maybe you have a piece of land, yes, but the piece of land you have is where your family is living, is the only piece of land you have. You may want to ask yourself, am I really sure that I'm comfortable using this piece of land for this type of loan? When you convince yourself, then you can go ahead and use it to secure the loan. But if you realize your system cannot accommodate that kind of risk, you realize that in the event these people come for this piece of land, then my family will be exposed. I don't know when next I'll be able to get a similar piece of land. If you are afraid, allow me to call it being afraid, then you might want to pause and probably consider other avenues of financing. But you must consider whether you are comfortable using that kind of security or not. Under this same factor of security, you must also consider the duration it takes to perfect securities. Now, there is something called security perfection. Security perfection is the process through which the lender formalizes the marking of interest on your security. This is what I mean. You want to use your car to secure a loan. The lender insists that for that to happen, then the logbook has to register their interest. It must be marked in the logbook that this lender has given you money. Or another lender insists that the ownership documents must be co-owned, must be registered in both your name and the lender's name. So there's a process that is going to happen in between the time you have applied and the loan has been approved and when the money is given to you. In most cases, many lenders will insist that security perfection must be completed before the money is disbursed. Therefore, you must also consider this type of security that they are asking. How long do they take for perfection of securities to be finalized? Different types of securities have got different durations. Many times in many places and many countries, perfection of land titles, land certificates tends to take longer than other forms of securities. So you need to tie that to the reason for which you are borrowing. If you are borrowing for an urgent need, and the lender now tells you that they need security, and the security they need is a land title or certificate, then you must begin to be worried. If the money you needed is needed in 1 week's time, yet the process of perfecting securities, the process of marking the lender's interest on your security will take 1 month, then you might need to look for an alternative source of credit, and this may not be the right one for you. However, if your need is able to wait, the perfection is going to take 1 month. The need that you have can wait for 1 month. Maybe you're preparing to purchase a certain asset that will be open 1 month from now. Or maybe you are borrowing money so that you can invest in something that you are ready to invest 1 month from now. Then that kind of security can still work for you because it matches with when you expect to use the funds. But if you went for urgent funds and the perfection is going to take longer, that means you will wait for the money longer. Then chances are you may get the money when the reason for borrowing has been overtaken by events. Therefore, you must consider the factor of security. Good people, I hope this has opened your eyes in a way. You have learned something that will better your experience in borrowing so that you don't just borrow blindly. We are learning this so that we minimize our chances of getting trapped in debt unnecessarily, of borrowing without knowledge and just borrowing blindly, hence increasing chances of burning our fingers. Once again, if this is your first time, please subscribe to this YouTube channel. If you like what we are talking about here, like this video, share it with someone else, drop us a comment, ask any other question that you'd want me to address, and I'll be willing and always ready to do another word from the coach video in response to the same. You can do better. See you in the next.